In this video, I want to talk about factoring trinomials using the guess and check method. Now, factoring trinomials can be a very stressful thing for a lot of algebra students, and there's lots of methods for factoring trinomials, but I really think guess and check is the way to go. Now, if we have a trinomial like this one, which really isn't the focus of this video, where there's a 1 in front of the x squared, the coefficient on the x squared is 1, I call these easy trinomials because all we have to do is figure out what multiplies to be positive 10 and adds to be 7. And that is 2 and 5, right? So it doesn't matter where we put the 2 and 5, and we have a nice factored trinomial. And we could check that by foiling this out, right? So we could FOIL this. First is x squared. Now I'm going to do this in a different color here. Outside is 2x. Inside is 5x. And then lastly, we have 5 times 2, which is 10. And if we combine this 2x and this 5x together, we get 7x, which is what we have in our original trinomial. Now, I want you to really notice here, we're going to do a tougher one here in a minute, that this outside, when we multiply these two outside terms and then multiply these two inside terms, we get 2x and 5x. We add those together, we get 7x. That has to be the middle term. Okay, that's going to be really important for being a good guess and checker. So let's start with one that's a little more difficult, and that's going to be one that doesn't have just a 1x squared. So let's say I've got something like 7x squared plus 36. Actually, I'm going to do this in a different color. Plus 36x plus, and I'm going to make my last term a 5. Now, what I'm really thinking about here is FOIL. And by FOIL, I mean, hopefully you know, first, outside, inside, last, which is when I get my answer, when I guess my answer, to check it, I'm going to multiply first, outside, inside, last, and I get this business here. And I check it out and see if I get my trinomial. All right, so for my first is 7x squared. It has to multiply to be 7x squared. Well, there's only one option. That's going to be 7x and 1x. Now for the 5, that's my last, there's only one option that multiplies to be 5, and that's 5 and 1. But I actually have two options of where I could place that 5 and that 1. Okay, so let me make another set of parentheses here. I could put the 5 here and the 1 here, or I could put the 1 here and the 5 here. Does it matter? That's a great question. Now both these signs are positive, so I know these are going to be positive. Here's how I check. These are the two possible guesses. These are the only two possible guesses. If one of these two isn't correct, then this thing is not factorable and it's prime. Okay? So to check it now, I really don't have to check the first, because that 7x squared, I picked it to be 7x squared. Same thing down here. And I really don't have to check the last, because 5 times 1 is 5. That's how I set that up. But what I do have to check is the outside and the inside. So here, I didn't leave myself enough space. I have 7x and 5x for my outside and my inside. That's 12x. That's not what I need. I need 36x. What about here? I got 35x and 1x. Bingo. That's what I want. So therefore, the correct factoring is 7x plus 1 and x plus 5. Okay, guess and check. So you can list all the possible options. Well, let's try one that has even more options. All right, let's say, oopsie, let's say I've got, go to a new screen here. How about 6x squared plus, we'll keep our color coding here. I think that kind of helps. 13x plus 5. Okay, so now for my first, I have to think about the things that multiply to be 6. It could be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. And the things that multiply to be 5 are 1 and 5. So these are my options, and I have to, my guesses have to be every combination of these things. And I'm going to show you a shortcut here in a second that's going to help you narrow it down. Obviously, the more factors that the coefficient on the x squared have, and how many factors the constant term have, the more factors, the more possibilities, and it gets harder to narrow it down. But I'm going to show you a little trick here in a second you're going to like, so stick with me. I'm going to list out all the possibilities, guys. All right, here we go, guys and gals. So if I use the 2 and the 3, then I could put the 1 here and the 5 here, or I put the 2 and the 3 and the 5 here and the 1 here, and everything's a plus. So oopsie, I wanted to use blue. It doesn't matter, we'll use purple. Now you might say, well, would it be different if I put the 3 first? Let me just write that out. Would it be different if I put the 3? Do I have to do the 3x and the 2x and then do the 1 and the 5? No, you don't, because see, this is going to be 3x plus 1, which is just this one right here. So you only have to swap one of them, right? This is just a repeat of the one above it. Okay, let's get rid of this thing here. So those are the options if I use the 2 and the 3. Well, now I got to use the option with the 6 and the 1. So I could go 6x and 1x. Or I could go, now this looks like a lot of work, but I'm going to show you how you can make this work for you. Don't give up on it just yet. Stick with me. 6x and x, and I could put the 5 here and the 1 here, or the 1 here and the 5 here. All right, so there's 4 possibilities. All these will give me the correct first term of 6x squared. Do you see that? If I FOIL all 4 of these out, I'll get a 6x squared for my first term. All 4 of these options are going to give me a positive 5 for my last term. That's the purple. So all I need to do is check that middle term. Oh, watch what's going to happen. My first option, 10x plus 3x. Well, there it is. There's my answer. Okay, we got lucky. Now, if we would have checked it right from the start, we wouldn't have done the other possible options. But that's my answer. Okay, let's just look at these other ones. This would have been 2x and 15x. That would have given me a 17x for my middle term. That would have been a 6x and a 5x. That would have given me 11x for my middle term. And, oh, this is the same option. Oh, I didn't switch those. Here, I made a mistake. Let's fix this. I switched on this option both the 6 and the 5. See, this is going to come out the same. So let's put, I shouldn't have switched the 6 and the 1. Keep the 6 there and the 1 there. There we go. That's the other option, which is 30x and 1x, which is 31x. So if I would have had any of these as my middle term, then I would have chose these other options. Okay, now let me show you a little shortcut here, which is going to help you pick the right thing. So I'm going to do this without color coding just to save some time. Some of you may have learned something called the AC method. The A number is the coefficient on the x squared. B is the coefficient on the x, and C is the constant term here, A, B, C. So what the AC method says is you take A times C, A times C, and you figure out what two numbers multiply to be AC, fill in these blanks, and add to give you B. All right, so let's do that for this example here. So I'm going to take A times C, so 6 times 5, 6 times 5, which is 30. And I need to figure out what two numbers add to be 30, multiply to be 30, and add to be my B value, which is 13. Okay, what two numbers multiply to be 30 and add to be 13? Think of them. How about 10 and 3, right? 10 and 3 multiply to be 30 and add to be 13. Now let's go over here and look at our factored form. What did we get for our outside and our inside? We got 10x and 3x. So if you go over here and do this little step over here, this is going to tell you what your outside and inside terms should be, and that's going to kind of help you visualize what the correct guess is. All right, let's try another one of these. Stick with me here. Okay, we'll go to a new sheet of paper. Now I'm going to make this one. All right, let's try 9x squared minus, throw some sign difference in here. 9x minus 4. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the side and we're going to do this AC thing. So our A value is 9. Our A value is 9. Our B value is negative 9. And our C value is negative 4. So we're going to take A times C and figure out what multiplies to be that number and adds to be B. So our A times C is 9 times negative 4, which is negative 36. What multiplies to be negative 36 and adds to be our B number, which is negative 9. Okay, let's think about what multiplies to be negative 36. Let's see, 1 and 36, that's not going to give me 9. 2 and 18, that's not going to give me 9. 3 and 12, that looks promising. 3 and 12 looks very promising. Let's see, how about a negative 12 and a positive 3? That would multiply to be negative 36 and add to be 9. Okay, so now we're going to go over here, and instead of writing out every single possible guess and check thing, because that was a lot, right? Let's start by listing up here like we did before. This could be 3 and 3 or 1 and 9 to multiply to be 9. And 4, it could be a 1 and a 4 or a 2 and a 2. So this one has the most possibilities that we've tried so far. But remember, what we're trying to do is we're going to have to get a negative 12x for one of these and a 3x for one of these. And it doesn't matter which one. So let's just pick. Let's say I'm going to make this one my negative 12x, and I'm going to make this one my 3x. Now, let's look at these options here. Okay, I need a 3x. I need to get a 3x right here. And remember, what goes here and here has to be either 3 and 3 or 1 and 9. Well, if you need a 3x, you can't put a 1 here because there's no 3 over here in my purple stuff. The numbers that go here in these purple spots have to multiply to be 4. So if I need a 3x here, I'm going to have to put, it's like a little puzzle. I'm going to have to put a 3x here, which means I have to put the 3x here. I'm going to have to choose the 3 and the 3. Well, that works out good, see, because I need a 12 here. All right, so 3x times what is going to give me 12? That looks like 4. This is going to work out. See, if I make that a 4 and a 1, that'll give me my 3x there. That looks good. And now I just need to get my signs right. So since this is a negative 12, this is going to be a minus. And since this is a positive 3, it's going to be a plus. There you go. All right, so if we FOILed this out, we'd have 3x times 3x. 3x times negative 4, which we already know is that. 1 times 3x. And 1 times negative 4. And we get 9x squared minus 9x minus 4, which is what we want. Pretty cool, huh? All right, I'm going to do one more example, but I mean, if you think you have the gist of it, you know, there's not going to be anything new in this last example, but it's always good to try one on your own. All right, why don't you give this one a try? Let's do 6x squared minus 17x plus 10. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and give this one a try. Okay, so first thing you should have done is taken your A times your C, which is 6 times 10, which is 60. And we got to figure out two numbers that multiply to be 60 and add to be our middle number, which is negative 17. Sometimes this is the hardest part. So I start thinking about things that multiply to be 60. I usually just start with 1, which is not going to work for negative 17, right? 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, maybe 3 and 20. Let's think about 3 and 20. Now I know these have to multiply to be a positive 60. So I'd have to either use two positives or two negatives. I'd have to either use positive positive or negative negative to multiply to be positive 60, but that's not going to give me negative 17. Dang, I thought that was going to be it. It looked promising, didn't it? All right, let's keep going. How about 4 times 15? No, that's not a difference of 17. 5 goes into 60. Let's see, 5 times 12. That looks promising. 5 and 12 are 17. and I could make them both negative. Negative 5, negative 12. All right, so that's what I need for my middle part, my middle term. Okay, so now why does that keep going purple? I'm choosing black. Here we go. Okay. So remember, what did we get this negative 5 and negative 12 for? I'll go back to my orange scheme since I was doing that. I need those two to multiply to be one and those two to multiply to be the other. Doesn't matter. So let's try for doesn't matter. Okay. If you switch these around, you'll get the same answer. It's fine. Now I need to think about what multiplies to be 6. Well, I got 1 and 6, 2 and 3. What multiplies to be 10? 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Okay, I see this 5 here, and I need a negative 5. That makes me feel like I need to pick this. And these are my purple ones, right? I need to pick this one. So remember, those go here and here to give you the 10, to give you the last term. So let's put the 5 here and the 2 here. See, that's promising. And now I need a 12. So what am I going to pick? 2, what's going to have to go here to give me my 12? Well, I'm going to have to pick the 6, right? The 6x and the 1x. Good, that works. Now I need both these to be negative, 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 and I need them to be negative to multiply to be 10. Boom, there it is. 6x minus 5, x minus 2. All right, guys, I hope that helped. These just take practice, 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 and you're starting to see the patterns. And I really encourage you to use guess and check, because once you start seeing the patterns, you will just be able to use guess and check very easily.